Hi, welcome to Camp Happy Mail. Thank you again for joining me on a Wednesday for another quick and easy card making video. I'm thinking about making this a regular Wednesday series because I have a ton of colored images. I mean, I've got a big box full, and I'm not kidding you when I say I've got a box full. So this is the box. It's a 9 by 12, and it's full of images that I have colored over the last couple of years. And I'm trying to work my way through these to get them made into cards because it doesn't do any good for them to be sitting here when they could be cards and being sent to people. I mean, that was the whole point of learning how to color with Copic markers, was so that I could color images and make cute cards and send them to people. So I've got this whole box sitting here just waiting to be used. And I think that on Wednesdays, this will be the video. I can't promise that there's going to be a video every Wednesday, but I'll try my best. If you also have a stash of already colored images, or if you have stamped images or ephemera, these videos will give you some ideas for how you can quickly make a card. And it's not always just going to be simple matting. Sometimes I do different things with them. And I try to mix up some of the products too. So for today, we're going to use this image. And this is one I have stamped and colored this image so many times. Easily I've made, probably 5 or 6 dozen cards with this image. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. This was from the Inspiring Iris set. This is a Stampin' Up set. It is unfortunately retired. There are some sets that I wish that they would just keep around, but I understand they wouldn't continue making money off of them if they did that. But you could probably find this maybe on eBay or maybe on Etsy. Maybe somebody has it, or maybe some of the buy-sell groups that are on Facebook. This is such a great set because it has the outlined images, but it also has the fill-in images that if you stamp the outline and you don't feel like coloring it, then you can use this stamp to color it in. And then it has some really great sentiments in it as well. So I really like this one. Oh, and besides, I mean, it's called Inspiring Iris, but besides the irises, it has a carnation in it. And a carnation is one of my favorite flowers. So this image, I actually stamped it twice. And I masked it and staggered it so that I could have 4 on here instead of just 2. So we're going to use that image. And then from this set, which this set is called Something Fancy, and this is still current, last time I looked. And I will link this below if it's still available. If it's not still available, then I will give you the link to my Stampin' Up demonstrator, who is absolutely fabulous. And then that way, if you don't have a demonstrator, maybe you can join her. So we're going to use probably the thank you sentiment off of this because I need this to be a thank you card for a friend. Okay, and then we're also going to use this die set. This is called the Folk Edge Rectangles, and this is by Pink Fresh Studio. And we're going to use the Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle dies. This is both the large set and the small set combined. I bought both of them because I wanted all of the sizes. And I will tell you that this is probably my most used die set of everything that I own. I use these on just about every card. And then for paper, I've got some scrapbook paper, and this is kind of similar to last week's paper it's out of the same pack, and it's super thin. It is thinner than copy paper, so it's very, very delicate. But I have had this for years, and I'm sure if you were a scrapbooker or even a card maker, you have lots of pattern paper that you could pull for yours. And then the cardstock, this is, I believe this was from Hobby Lobby. It's got a texture to it. And then these two, the pink is Magenta Madness. That's a Stampin' Up color. And the purple is Highland Heather. I'm not sure if either of these two colors are available. They just recently switched out their color palettes. But I have a whole bunch of the former color palette. If these are available, I'll link them. If not, again, I'll refer you to my demonstrator. And that way, if you take a look at their rainbow, maybe you'll find colors that you like. And then just a standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card base. So let's figure out what we want to do. Now I realize that, you know, looking at this color palette, that this doesn't really go that well with these, but I really want to use this because, well, I used it for the center of the flowers. And I think we can make it work because it'll tie that in. So I think the first thing that I want to do, and we're going to use this as our guide, is I think I'm going to mat this on the plaid. But I want everything to have some kind of a decorative border around it instead of just being straight cuts. So this might be a little tricky to pull off using two different sets like this, but we're going to try. So this card was actually, this image was actually die cut with this one. So I need to go one bigger than this one, but you know what? We might end up cutting this down so that I have room to do all of the mats that I want to do. Yeah, I think we'll do that first. So let's cut this down to make it smaller. Push all this stuff out of the way. Let's grab the Big Shot. Now this image would have been, I stamped it and then I die cut it out and thinking that I would use it that size, but there's enough left on it that I can cut it down and make it a little smaller, and I'm not going to lose really a whole lot of the image. So I think we'll line this up just above where it's cut off. And I'm still going to leave the biggest white space over here for the sentiment. And I totally should not have done that. You caught what I did there whenever I preached about it the previous Wednesday. You really shouldn't send your die strew straight on like this because of that edge and trying to get it through the rollers, and you heard how it shook everything. It's really a bad idea. I sometimes forget, and that reminds me that I need to do better the next time. Okay, so if we take this piece, and I think we could probably take this smaller piece now to die cut the next rectangle out of. And that would be this one. And that's just wide enough. So we'll go ahead and die cut this. And this time I am going to put this at an angle so that I'm not forcing the edge of that die to go straight on through the rollers. And see, it goes through a lot smoother when you do it the right way. Sometimes I just get in a hurry and I don't think about what I'm doing. Okay, so that piece goes in there. And then I think we'll do the next one. We'll do is pink. Because I was thinking if I did the purple, a lot of the plaid is going to blend into that too much. So I think we'll do the pink next. And I got to make sure that this is all still going to fit on the A2 size card with all the layers. And it is. Okay. So we'll take the next size up, which is this one. Now this is going to get interesting because this size die right here is the actual A2 size card base. And this is the one right before it. And I still have 2 layers. So maybe not all of these are going to have a stitched border on it. Maybe we'll leave this one without the stitch. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna cut this down so I can get it through the die cut machine easier. And again, we're gonna go on the angle. So then there's that. So that's what it's looking like so far. And I really wanted to use the Pink Fresh dies. So we'll get that out of the way. I wanted to use the Pink Fresh dies for this one, just because it's more decorative, but I don't know if we're gonna be able to pull that off or not and still get the purple one on there. And I need to transfer this over to an envelope. Okay, so there's multiple dies in here so that you can cut a smaller one before you cut the decorative one. And we know we don't need this size because that's too small. And that's about that size. And that would be the pink size. Okay, but I think this is an A2 size. And it is. Okay. So, I think we're gonna have to just eyeball this one to make it a smaller border so that we can do a decorative one out of this, and I need a bigger piece of paper to do that one. So we'll do the decorative border out of the purple, and we're gonna trim this down so that it goes through the machine. And then by cutting the purple one now, that will help us to determine how much of a yellow border we're going to be able to have. And it helps if you get your plates lined up to get it through the die cut machine. Okay, now on this one, we've got all these little decorative pieces that need to be punched out. You know, it could be fun if we put the yellow one behind this, upstairs, because then the yellow would show up in between in the circles. And I think we're going to do that instead of doing the whole yellow layer, because I think that's just enough yellow. Okay, I think we're good. So let's go ahead and put this together. All right, so let's go ahead and start to assemble this card. Before we do anything further, I think we need to go ahead and stamp the sentiment onto here. So we're going to set these aside. Now the stamps that we're going to use, again, for the sentiment, we're going to use the thank you, and this is out of the Something Fancy set. And as of May of 2024, this was current. I will link it below if it still is. So, okay, so this is a red rubber stamp. Red rubber stamps from Stampin' Up! And from many other companies are mounted on foam. There are some that you can get that are not mounted on the foam. They're not going to be as expensive as the ones from Stampin' Up! Or from other companies that have them mounted on foam. And what they look like if they're not mounted on foam is they look like this. It's just the red rubber. These are some from Purple Onion Designs. And you have to buy the additional thing to mount these onto to be able to use them. But because they're not mounted on the foam, the actual stamps are less expensive. And the mounting thing that they use for these is a one-time buy. So it's kind of a good deal. So anyways, so if your red rubber stamps have the foam on them, then when you're using a MISTI stamping tool, it comes with a foam insert for it. If you were using a clear mount stamp or a clear stamp, like one of these, you would need to keep this mat in here so that it has the proper height to be able to stamp your stamps. But because we're using a foam mounted rubber stamp, if we try to put this in here to stamp our images, the door is not going to close the whole way. There's too much height here, so you need to take out the foam. Okay, so we're going to use the thank you, and this one has not been used. I recently got this set and I haven't really used a whole lot out of it yet. So we're going to take the backing off. You always want to save the backing so you can put it back on. And red rubber is a little difficult because when they're funny shaped like this, it's hard to tell which way to put it, but there's a trick that you can do. So you take a piece of acetate and you put it down on over top of your card, and then you position your stamp where you think it might go, and then you close the door to pick it up. Okay, and then you can kind of see on here, using the grid lines, I can straighten this out a little bit. So then you want to go ahead and stamp it, leaving your acetate in place. And I apologize for the glare from my lights. So then you, with the acetate in place, you stamp this, and then you can see how it's going to look when you stamp it on your card. And I think that's pretty decent. I think we'll go ahead and go with that. So we'll go ahead and ink this up again. We'll just lightly press down on it. You don't need to apply a whole bunch of pressure to get a good impression. And if it doesn't come out as dark as you want it the first time, you have the opportunity to restamp it, but I think we're good. So let's go ahead and get this assembled. And I think we'll start from the back. So we'll put the yellow piece on there first. Okay, so this piece was a little short, so I am going to go ahead and just trim my card so that you don't see that white. Okay, and then our next layer is the purple. You know, I think that yellow gives that a nice little touch. I've really been enjoying that die set from Pink Fresh Studios. Okay, and then next we'll put this piece down. Now, even though this is just basic matting, if you have some different tools, different dies that have fancy cuts to them, then it just kind of jazzes it up a little bit, and it's a little more than just basic matting. I actually like just basic matted cards. Clean and simple is very much my style. I love the look of mixed media. I'm not real good at mixed media, but I'm learning. But I do like clean and simple. That's even my design style for my job. I mostly do clean and simple. Or as I like to call it, clean and classy. But if clean and classy is not your thing, you are obviously more than welcome to make your cards however you want to make them. My only intent here is to just show you that you can make easy cards using your pre-done images. And with a couple of simple dies, is that a word? Simpler? Couple of simple dies, you can create something really nice. Now, do we want to pop that up? I want to put some foam tape on that maybe and raise it up off of there. Well, I know I'm going to hand deliver this one, so I think we can do that. So this is what I'm reaching into back here. I have a drawer that has all of my adhesives in it, and these are, tape runners, the Xyron X, foam squares, there's glue dots back here, there's foam strips, there's tear and tape, there's all kinds of adhesive things in here. Oh, you know what? I got pieces back here. Those might be a little too thick though. So what I'm looking for is these are foam squares. These were Stampin' Up dimensionals. And I'm looking for ones that I can pull the borders off of them so that I can run them along the edges of this instead of putting a million of the little ones on here. So that's what I'm looking for. And I think we have some here we can use. Yeah, every little bit of these ones from Stampin' Up are usable. Even after you've used all the little hexagons, you can go back in and take the borders and they're perfect. I love when I can use all the pieces of something. Just makes me happy to not have any waste. And the nice thing about the Stampin' Up dimensionals is whether you have the big hexagons or the little hexagons, they're all the same height. And that's a beautiful thing. So you can do a combination of both big ones and little ones and not have to worry about it not being the same height. And I know that may seem a little excessive, but you know what? At least we know it's not going to sag. So we'll just put this in the middle. And you know what, before I put that down, okay, yeah, double check to make sure that the card is opening up the right way. So that's our card for today. Couple of stitch border dies and a fancy die around the edge. And I think we got a pretty nice card out of it. So I hope you enjoyed seeing how this one came together today. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks.